Introduction. In the summer of 1928, Josef Redlich, an Austrian lawyer and professor of law then residing in the United States, vented his frustration in a letter to a fellow Austrian, the poet and dramatist Hugo von Hofmannsthal. "We once had a fatherland, a mission, and a history. Now, we have to face the remarkable decline of culture in the new Austria." Born in 1869, Redlich was raised in a German-speaking family of assimilated Jews in Moravia, in the northwestern part of the Habsburg Empire. He spent most of his adult life before 1918 in Vienna, where the empire's collapse found him serving as finance minister in its final government. He and many of his contemporaries would long cherish the memory of the Habsburg Empire as a place of perfect order and stability, and had great difficulty adjusting to the post-1918 order. Yet he remained active in politics and government, doing his part to build the new Austria upon the old, familiar image. Redlich's story was typical of a large cohort of political and intellectual elites who had come of age in the Habsburg Empire, witnessed its collapse, and outlived it. Their stories are the inspiration for this study, which discusses 21 individuals who started in politics in the Habsburg Empire and then continued in different states across Europe. Marked by the trauma of the First World War, the vanishing of their empire, and the transition to post-1918 Europe, they produced a remarkable array of political programs and would staff and sustain the various polities that emerged after the imperial downfall. A full generation younger, born in 1881, but of a similar background, was Redlich's socialist peer Otto Bauer, co-founder of Austro-Marxism and the future first foreign minister of the Republic of Austria. Also born in 1881, but of a different ethno-cultural background, was Alcide de Gasperi. Raised in the empire's Alpine Italian-German area of Trentino, he would later co-found the European Union after the Second World War. 1 year their junior was Bohumir Šmeral, a Czech social democrat who would found the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia. Francesco Salata and Semen Vitek were born in 1876. The former, an Italian nationalist from Istria, would in the 1930s serve as Mussolini's ambassador to Vienna. The latter, a Ukrainian social democrat, would set out in 1925 to help build communism in Soviet Ukraine. Ivan Regent, a Slovenian socialist from Trieste, born in 1884, would turn to communism after 1918, then live in Italy, Yugoslavia, and Austria. This book represents a portrait of a particular milieu, the intertwining political and intellectual circles from the late Habsburg Empire and interwar Europe, as a lens through which to examine broader issues of European history in the late 19th and first half of the 20th centuries. It covers the Austrian part of what after 1867 became the Federative Austro-Hungarian Empire, and several states of interwar Europe, including Austria, Czechoslovakia, Poland, Italy, Yugoslavia, post-1918 Ukraine, and the post-1922 Soviet Union. The focus here is the transfer of institutional models and practices across 1918, from the empire to interwar Europe and beyond. I explore how a cluster of ideas rooted in the 19th century Habsburg Empire, conservatism, liberalism, nationalism, Christian socialism, Austro-Marxism, federalism, and internationalism continued to shape European politics and society in the 20th century. To the usual story of Europe from the fall of its last empires to 1945 and beyond, I propose an alternative narrative, one that highlights the connections between the fin du siècle and post-Second World War eras, and yields a new chronology of 20th century Europe. The First World War represented, of course, a landmark moment, especially